Okay, I'm going to go to work on this tachometer now while I'm waiting on the clock movement to arrive. This, once you get that lens and all off of the tachometer, this meter, the dial, will slip right out of there. Believe it or not, there you go. It's got two wires that run back to the circuit board, and need to get that circuit board out of there so we can replace all the caps while we're doing this. That dial is fastened to the circuit board with a red and a black wire, and they just pull right off of little studs in there, so that's easy. Okay, once again, this circuit board is held in by these two brass studs that hold that bracket on the back of there. So I'm going to have to grind those off. I'll have to put screws in them later on. Once you grind those off, circuit board will fall right out. You'll notice how I marked this one over here, the stud where the red wire goes, so I won't get that confused later. There's also a little rubber grommet on the back of here where it feeds through the back of that shell, and you can just, on the back side, if you push that hard with a screwdriver, it'll push it inside the shell and make that easy. Okay, run into another little problem here. Whenever I do these tachometers for this Rally Pak, I always recap everything, and I don't know what I did on the others, because this component right here, this brown one, there's absolutely nothing stamped on it, so I don't know what it is. Problem is, it's obviously has a problem. There's a great big chunk out of it. I don't know if it blew out, if it heated up and blew out, or I just don't know. It's in parallel with this 0.075 microfarad, and that's a real odd value, so I'm pretty sure this combination here is like a time constant, and it may be the timing that's required for. This is a 6-cylinder tachometer, so anyway, I think that value of whatever it is important. It may be a resistor in parallel with that capacitor, as I was saying, adjusting some timing, but I don't know what it is. In the past, I must have just left it, because I have never seen a schematic for just this board. A lot of schematics online on how to wire these up, but no schematic of this circuit board, and so I have no way of telling what it is. I'm going to go ahead and recap it, and I think this is resistor. You can see where I unhooked it here, checked it with an ohm meter. It's an infinite resistance. So is it a resistor that's burned out totally, or is it some other kind of component? But I'm going to go ahead and rebuild it. I'm going to put a pot in parallel with it so I can adjust it and see what happens. Well, I kind of gave up on repairing this tachometer, and made another circuit which I wasn't satisfied with, and so I just gave up and I ordered this little tachometer off of eBay. I think it was like 20 bucks, and it's, let's see, what's the brand name on it? Sport meter, universal sport meter, but it's a tachometer. Anyway, it's if you just search tachometer on eBay, you'll find about 50 people selling this same tachometer, and it doesn't look totally like the old one. Old one's got more divisions on it, but it is black background, white letters, red pointer. So now I've got the problem. I got to see if I can physically make it work in this housing. So that's going to be interesting. I am amazed. I never get this lucky. I'm starting to worry if this is maybe my last day on Earth or something, being so lucky. But this little tachometer has the neatest little mounting system. You got this ring, you see those threads there, and that just screws up on there and tightens it up against a panel of some kind. Well, this is the original ring that goes in front of that original meter, and guess what, it fits right on that just perfect. You can see the little slots around the side there where the screws hold it down to the housing. I can screw this on. And that will fit right in that original housing with no further to do. Well, I say that. Here's the housing, and you'll see in there that plastic, that's where the pilot lamp comes in from the back, the original pilot lamp, and it won't let this go down all the way. It lacks about a half an inch, but I can take that out because this little tachometer has its own lighting system. I don't need the background lighting from that original bulb. I can just knock that thing out completely, and that'll set right down in there, go right in the housing. There's a big hole in the back for where you can feed your wires through. That's a perfect solution. 20 bucks, and you got a digital, or at least electronic, tachometer. The old original tachometers had a transformer. Let me show it here. It's not the board. Get the circuit board out here. Let me show you. You see that transformer on there? That went to the 12 volt. It was inserted in that 12 volt line that goes to the distributor, not the side that hooks to the points, but there's in all these early Fords, there's a pink wire, which is a resistance wire that goes to the feeds the distributor, and that transformer is inserted in that line, and it detects the pulses off of the current flow through that transformer. The problem is these transformers were prone to go bad, and therefore you would get no voltage on your distributor, and it'd probably take a good mechanic about 3 weeks to trying to figure out why he wasn't getting voltage to the distributor. These were troublesome, these originals. A lot of them weren't. I've got an original on some of my other Mustangs, and I've never had the problem. But anyway, get rid of all of this, and for 20 bucks you get this, and no mechanical work at all needed to make it work. So I'm real pleased. Another side note about this tachometer, on the back you see this switch. You can switch it for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 8 cylinders. So it'll cover any engine that you have. Believe it or not, there are some 3-cylinder engines out there. I believe maybe the early Saabs may have had a 3-cylinder. It was a 3-cylinder 2-cycle engine. I had a boss man one time that had one. Early Saab, 3-cylinder 2-cycle, and since it was a 2-cycle, you could change the timing on the thing, and it would run just as good in reverse as it would forward. Oh well, anyway, this is a neat piece. Haven't tried it on the car yet to make sure it works, but mechanically it's a dream. I had to take this bracket off of the back of this enclosure where all of the guts of this tachometer were in, because there were rivets in here, and they went through and held that old circuit board inside. So to get the circuit board out, I had to grind these rivets off. So now I've got to put this bracket back on, and you'll notice I did the same thing I did on the clock. I ran the screws in reverse so they'll stick out of the back side of the housing, and I can put knurled nuts on them. That way when I need to take it out for whatever reason, it'll be easy. I just undo the knurled nuts and the thing will slip out of the front. So I also put a little JB weld on the back side. I don't want those screws to turn when I'm loosening and tightening that knurled nut, so put a little JB weld on that to secure them. Now I've got to pop rivet this bracket back to the housing. Turns out I couldn't use pop rivets to put this bracket back on. There wasn't enough room right in this area here to get the pop rivet tool in there, so I had to use some 440, quarter-inch 440 and nuts to hold it on, but that'll work just fine. Other thing I've had to do, when this goes down over this tack, these terminals were getting dangerously close to the bottom side of this enclosure. So I cut half of them off, and now I'm going to solder wires to them. There's 4 wires. You got 12 volts plus, 12 volts minus that runs the electronics inside of it, and then one of the terminals goes to the lights, so it operates with your light switch and your dimmer, and then the other one is a signal wire. That's the one that goes to the distributor and detects the pulses. So I'm going to solder those on and put some heat shrink tubing on them and go from there. Alright, got the wires on, a little heat shrink tubing around them, and I am just amazed at how well this tachometer fits in this 66 Mustang Rally Pak. It's almost like the Chinese made it for Rally Pak. So just the way this thing is assembled, this ring, this is the original ring off of the original tachometer. It fits just perfect over that. This is the big plastic nut that comes with the tachometer, and you just screw that on, and that sandwiches that ring in there. Next thing you got to do is put this chrome ring in here. One thing I'll point out here at this point, if you look at this, I don't know if you can see it, but those screw holes are not positioned evenly around there. You've got this one's up at the top, and then these two are both close to the top. There's a large area between these two, and of course that keys everything in the right position. And this one up here should go to the top. The screw holes inside of here are keyed just like that as well, so you got to put this in. This is the chrome decorative ring that was used on the original, and I don't have it in there right, so let me get this. There we go. This little black ring around here that came off of the original, that's also keyed. I'm not going to go to the trouble of keying them right now, but so that just goes in there. Then this metal, I'm going to turn this off so I can slip the wires through this metal cover. Alright, wires are through the metal cover. Metal cover goes down. And then I won't do it, but the outside housing slips over that. These two screws come through the back of the housing. You put some knurled nuts on it, and there you go. It's made. This thing is made to go together. The only thing I've left to do is I've got to put that little silver bullet. I'll have to glue that to that lens that goes in the middle so it'll match the clock on the other side. And that's all it is to it, and it works perfect.